This podcast is brought to you by Paramount Plus and by the Startup Core podcast.
The Final Frontier podcast. These are the voyages of Jake Boger and Justin Spur. Our weekly mission to explore memories of Star Trek's strange new worlds, to recall the search for new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has had the spare time to go before. Alrighty, welcome everyone to the Final Frontier podcast. How's everybody doing? How was well, I guess it's been a few weeks now for you watching this since your holiday, but
It's true. Yeah. For you guys, you're well into January at this point.
yeah, they're well into January by this point, but we have yet to travel to the future where you are.
No, we're not where you are, but we just had a holiday and it was all right.
It was been pretty good, not bad. But we're back to talk about Star Trek, the original series, season 2, episode 10, Friday's Child, which I don't think this made the podcast, or it may have made the podcast. I don't remember. But at one point, I called it Friday's Stepchild. And I'm not going to lie, I actually kind of prefer that name.
I mean, it is perhaps a tad more accurate than
Right?
It's funny because I was like, we never saw Friday's Child, and then I felt stupid, and I went, no, we definitely did,
Which, funnily enough, my first idea for the title of this episode was "Who the f is Friday?" But
Yeah,
I'm about to tell you. So I think that might still be the title, just because conceptually I find it funny. But yeah, you guys already know. We don't know yet, but you're
we
in the
don't know what the
future.
title is, but you did because you clicked on this video and you saw the title, and considering all of our titles are clever, it was clever.
I gotta say, I'm proud of our titles. I don't think we've really had one that's been subpar. I think they've all been pretty.
I will okay. Before we really jump, I will say that the do red shirts, was it do androids dream of red shirts? Jordan was watching Bicentennial Man the other day, and he was watching it, and there's a bit where the android's asleep, and he went, "Do you think androids dream of sheep?" And I went, "Oh, wow, that's an impressive reference."
Solid reference. But this episode, speaking of reference, this episode takes place between stardates 3497.2 and 3499.1, which we have yet to travel back to the year 2268, because this is in 2267 still. And the original air date for this episode was December 1st, 1967. And it's written by DC Fontana and directed by our good friend Joseph Pevney. This sounds so bad. And as I was researching this episode, I was doing a lot of nodding because I remember watching it and being like, this episode feels like the idea was conceptually thought up by a woman, which I wasn't surprised because it said at the beginning written by DC Fontana, but it
Yeah.
feels like somebody really messed around with it.
Really? Look, okay, it's funny. Okay. Yeah, I can see why you would say that. A. B. I'm at that point where I'm starting to recognize names, so I have a note that's just like a DC Fontana and Joseph Pevney joint. That means it's probably gonna be a banger.
I don't know about a banger, but it was enjoyable. I had fun.
It was solid. We're gonna talk about it. It's fine.
It's one of those episodes where if it were made today, everyone would hate it, but since it was made in the year 1967,
Yeah,
it
the
gets
1960s is gonna rear its ugly head a few times this week.
more than a few. But this episode title is derived from an English poem known as Monday's Child. It's a reference to the line in the 1887 Harper's Weekly version of the poem, quoting "Friday's child is full of woe."
Oh. So
So once again, the Star Trek writers are really hoping that you're a book nerd when you watch this show.
I was gonna say they went, what's a better child than Monday? Friday.
Friday, Friday, gotta get down on Friday.
Justin, would you like to grace us with the Paramount Plus description as brought to you by Paramount Plus?
Of course I would. Now here's the thing. Obviously, the description on Paramount Plus described a conflict that the Enterprise crew was shoved right in the middle of. So my first question is, which 1960s conflict could this be an allegory for? Which 1960s conflict could this be an allegory for this week? I don't think it was. I don't think it was much of a allegory for anything too much this week. And my question was, will the power struggle reference be over the titular Friday's child? And then I, of course, asked, is it a literal child or a metaphorical child?
It is a literal child, and
It's a literal child.
it's not referencing a real world conflict per se, but it is. So there's a note about this later, but I will
Wait,
say
wait, time out. Sorry, two powerful nations vying over a smaller country for mineral rights? You're saying it's not based on any conflict in
now that you say that, it does seem oddly appropriate. Or what did you
man,
always say?
the show is weirdly relevant,
Relevant.
uncomfortably relevant, uncomfortably relevant, isn't it?
Well, no, but I also do know DC Fontana's original concept for this was supposed to be. This sounds bad, but it was supposed to be a single mom story, like it was,
Okay,
and they really just conceptually
okay.
changed a lot around.
Yeah, no, it's not that. It's not that. It's
It
definitely
was
not that.
it was at one point, um,
What are
but
you saying? They should have listened to the woman on a purely
I'm not
female
I'm
experience?
well I'm gonna go on a limb here, and I'm not gonna lie. I don't know that that episode would have been all that great. Star Trek is not really the show to explore those kinds of themes.
No, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I trust DC Fontana. I trust her. So I think it has the potential, but having not seen it, I can't say for sure.
Well, our story begins with the Enterprise arriving at Capella 4 to negotiate mining rights for Topaline, a rare mineral vital to Federation colonies. First of all, there seem to be a lot of rare minerals that are vital to Federation colonies, and I'm just over here like, why don't we use something more plentiful?
Common. I
Like
mean,
it seems like we can solve a lot more problems by using like quartz or something. Like
you would think, right? You'd think it's the Star Trek future. We could convert lead into things, surely, you know?
one would think, yeah, I mean, well, lead is pretty well inert, so probably not, but
I mean, I don't know. It was just the first mineral that popped into my head for some reason. I don't know why. Quartz. They could convert quartz into something.
surely. But anyway, you may be asking, Justin, is Topaline real?
See, Jake, I have a note here that is literally just Jake. You know, I'm going to ask if it's real.
It's not.
It's not. You know what? There's always a 50-50 shot where it's either real or it's based on a real thing. I've
Yeah,
discovered.
this one's completely made up, and this seems to be becoming a more common theme because this is just straight up Star Trek, and they don't even explain in this episode what it does per se.
No,
So,
well, they do say it's required for the life support system. So
yeah, but
I
why?
presume it converts to oxygen easy. Maybe who knows? That's me speculating.
For some reason I doubt that. But the Capellans are a harsh warrior culture, but are known to be strictly honest. Captain Kirk beams down with Spock, McCoy, and a security officer. That red shirt has dead man written all over him. I felt it. I was like,
I didn't even notice him until it was too late.
I
Like
was like,
he was already gone, and I was like,
I was like, red shirt whose name we haven't been told yet. There's only one of them. The only reason I thought he might make it is because he's an officer.
and he
Like
was standing next to Kirk. I mean, that
this
also,
is true. This is true. However, um,
offers that protective shield.
the landing party discovers that Grass, a Klingon emissary, has already begun negotiations. When the security officer draws his weapon, see, that's the dead giveaway. It literally says the security officer. He doesn't even have a name.
It doesn't even get a name. Doesn't Kirk say his name? No, I guess Kirk never says his
No,
name.
I
Just
don't
that he's
believe so.
young.
Yeah. The Capellans kill him instantly, reinforcing both their strict codes and their volatility. Justin, it's time to ding that red shirt counter to
Platoon.
pay tribute to our fallen no named.
He took it to the chest like a champ.
A Klingon! Grant, no!
Okay, so I got a shit ton on this opening section. I really like the cinematography of the first shot of the Enterprise, like that. I don't know how to describe it other than the spaceship version of an over the shoulder shot. I was like,
Right.
that's kind of cool. I mean, it was CGI replacement, but it was still pretty cool. The intro the intro felt kind of rushed. Like it felt like I was jumping in on a two-parter. Like, because it was weird to me. They were showing footage of McCoy meeting the people, and it felt like that was from a previous episode. And I know it wasn't because I've seen every episode at this point. So I was like, I don't think we missed an episode. So just it felt like I missed an episode.
We're going
And
for that. They were going for that being from McCoy's past, but he looks just like
it's
1967 DeForest Kelly. So
um
presumably it wasn't that long. It could have been his mission prior to being assigned to the Enterprise. He's only been on there for a couple years.
true, but also he filmed it. It's just like yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Once
um
again, it's archive footage that is clearly studio produced with
pretty well,
varying
yeah.
camera angles and
Exactly.
the exact same people in costumes that we see later, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Also, yeah, it just kind of jumped into it. No captain's log, and I was like, I get that they're trying to be like, this is an events in process, but it was just too quick for me. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. So, my note on this, not knowing what was going to happen, was so they're just Klingons. In their description, I was like, they're just Klingons. Um, and I had a
Well,
question of
they're
the
more accurately, they are what Klingons will become because
yes,
what we see in this episode is very
not.
non-Klingon behavior from the
Um,
Klingon.
and then I just had a series of questions of the room that they were in the beginning. Is this the first staff meeting that they've had on the Enterprise?
No, we've seen several staff meetings. It might be the
Have we?
smallest. It might be the smallest staff meeting we've ever seen, but
I didn't recall them ever like I don't know how I described it as a conference room. They later in
yeah,
the episode, I think they call it the briefing room. So that just led me to ask you, how many conference rooms do you think the Enterprise has? Is it just the one? Do you think there's multiple?
I think there's at least four.
It gotta be at least. I mean, four would make sense. That feels like a nice round number.
Yeah, but
Um,
they held a senior staff meeting when they were deciding what to do with Khan, just to name
fair.
one example.
Good point. Good point. I completely forgot about that. Jake, the outfits. It's time to talk about the outfits. You knew I was
Believe
going to
it
talk about the outfits.
believe it or not, there's some logic behind them, as Spock would say.
My first question is just how many throw rugs were disassembled to create those outfits?
At least 40.
Because they look like pieces of throw rugs that were cut apart and restitched together.
I mean, to be
Um,
fair, you can just buy those what would you call
can
that?
you?
Trimming? Yeah, you
Yeah.
just
Oh, yeah.
trim it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Believe it or not, those I don't have a note on this, but I read it. Those were reused from another show.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
probably changed around a bit, but yeah, those were used regularly in a different show, and they were
Oh.
reused here.
So how many of the ponytails do you think were real?
Ooh, I probably none.
None. None. And then
They seemed a
next thing
bit
is
stiff,
a little bit, but 1960s men with ponytails. You know, I'm
but
just
they're
saying.
aliens, just.
Oh, that is fair. That is true. And then I wasn't expecting the Klingons when he showed up and it was a
I,
Klingon. I made that note about them basically being the Klingons, not expecting the. So when he showed up, I was like, "Oh shit, it's the Klingons!" Whoa, okay, I wasn't expecting that.
I did really like seeing a bit and learning a bit about Bones' past. I'm like, oh, I would have really been interested to hear more about this assignment and why he was there, because that really seems more like a job for like a cultural ambassador rather than a doctor. But
It does, and also I forgot about that plot point, and so that recontextualizes a lot of my questions for later because I completely forgot about the plot point that he was there. And then yeah, you mentioned the red shirt biting it. Obviously the red shirt covers the blood because he took it right to the chest. He
that's why
would be
they wear
gushing blood.
that's why they wear red.
So bad guys can't see me bleed.
Yeah, so you don't see the blood. It's true. It's also why they wear brown pants. They wear brown pants.
Well, they wear dark pants.
So you don't see when they get scared. It makes sense.
Despite the violence, the Capellans treat Kirk's party as honored guests, minus killing the guy. Their leader, Akar, favors the Federation's offer over the Klingons, valuing Starfleet's reputation for honesty. Not gonna lie, I'm watching the episode and I'm like, honestly, it seems like the Klingons are a much better fit.
It really does. Like up until it, honestly, not to jump ahead, but he reminded me a lot of and stick with me on this, Kilgrave, where he makes a lot of good points until the end when he has to be the bad guy and he does a murder. Like that's there's a point. Well, we're gonna get there, but there's a point at the end where he does a thing where you're like, he just did that to justify, like it felt like dying by cop. Like that's just kind of what it felt like.
And just to answer a question that was, thrown out during this episode, yes, it is Kirk's policy to kill Klingons on sight. This will become a scene. This will become a theme for him.
Oh, interesting. I mean, he did. There was a moment where what he was suggesting, I would say, was akin to murder. But we're gonna get there.
I mean, he was a smidge trigger happy, not gonna lie. It's
A
kind
little
that's
bit.
one of those red shirt deaths where I'm kind of like, I mean, he kind of asked for it.
I'm not gonna say it was self-defense, but it has an air of self-defense. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying there's a lawyer somewhere that could get that guy off in a murder trial.
Better call Saul. Saul Goodman, attorney at law, 505-164-CALL.
Right? And then what Kirk wanted to do was it was murder. It was
That was straight up. That was it. That
it
was a
was
call. That was a call for violence, sir.
what is it? It was premeditated. It was premeditated.
I think he might get second degree murder on that because, like, I don't think he came down there with a plan to kill Klingons, but once he saw them, he was like, "Oh yeah."
That's true. But he developed a plan to kill a Klingon. Anyway,
That's what I'm
we'll
saying.
get there.
You can probably get second degree.
I mean,
I'm going to
hey,
give you second.
I'm not a lawyer, so
I'm not either. I just played one on the internet one time. Actually, no, I didn't play a lawyer. I played a doctor. But I also one of my like questions that got settled eventually, like after. But when that weird scene where Kirk's like giving Bones the business, and I'm like, why are you mad at him?
Oh, is that the scene where they're in the hut and the lighting
Yeah.
is really weird and they all look like
Yeah.
they're orange?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that scene was weird.
Because
There's
Kirk's
a lot
like
of
Shatner's
technical
like,
things of this episode that were weird.
yeah, but Shatner's in there like giving him the business, like, why didn't you warn me? And I'm like, he literally did at the beginning of the episode.
Did you miss the briefing on the mission prior to the mission?
The part where he said they were ultraviolet.
Right? Were you not listening?
No, he wasn't.
Also,
he was too busy wondering about the women.
there's a lot of I'm gonna mention them as they come up, but there's a lot of I don't know if this was the kind of show because nowadays the phrase within the edit happens a lot, and there's a couple moments in this that seem that if this were not a show from the 1960s that I was like, if I didn't know, it would look like that. Again, we'll get there. I'll mention them when they come up.
Internal tensions erupt when Mob, a rival leader, challenges Akar. Fighting breaks out, Akar is killed, and Mob claims leadership as the new tier. He immediately orders the death of Eileen, Akar's pregnant widow, since her unborn child represents a future challenge to his rule. When we meet Eileen, my first thought was, wow, even the women are taller than Kirk, and it is bothering him.
I've got Kirk when she shows up, Kirk is like, hello.
Hello. Oh, never mind.
And then I just thought it was a Kirk Spock is like, she found you, or they found you disappointing. And I said, Kirk is just like, this would not be the first time a woman has found me disappointing.
Well, technically, her husband found him disappointing.
Not the first time a husband.
No, not her husband. Not her husband. Her nearest, probably her brother, because the whole bit was, yeah, the whole bit was if Kirk accepted the food, then her oldest male relative had the right to fight him.
Oh yeah, and then I just couldn't stop staring at Mob's bushy gray eyebrows that looked dyed, and I just kept wondering, is the rest of his hair gray? Does he shave? Is it all dyed? Is it just the eyebrow? Why is he dyeing his eyebrows? Who dyes their eyebrows? It was really distracting.
They probably dyed the eyebrows to match the fake ponytail, if I had to guess. But
no, he's the one guy who doesn't have a ponytail. Does he have a ponytail? No, I don't think he has a ponytail.
He's got it because he's wearing like the black face thing.
Yeah,
right?
Was he?
He had a ponytail.
Oh, okay, fair enough then. Fair enough. I completely missed it. But I was just every time he talked, and my focus was drawn to his like bright gray eyebrows.
Apparently, Julie Newmar, who plays Eileen, and William Shatner did not get along very well on set, and I think I know why, because she is 5'11" tall.
Which is taller than I just assumed that they had perfect chemistry.
Not
That's
at
a
all.
joke if you know.
Oh.
That's a joke if you know who Julie Newmar is. That's odd because he's not short. I
But
guess
you
maybe in the
see-
60s that was short.
No, but you see, the thing is, he's 2 inches shy of 6 feet, and that bothers him.
I mean, it does. It does. I don't understand why. Because he's again, he's not that short.
Not at all. But that was actually my last my next note is Julie Newmar played Catwoman in the 1960s Batman show. Interestingly enough, though, she would reunite with William Shatner as a voice actress
Yeah.
in the animated film Batman vs. Two-Face in 2017.
Really? Who's William
Mhm.
Shatner in that?
Bruce, I can't tell you how terribly sorry I am about all this.
You're weak, Dent.
If you're a fan of 1960s Batman, it's really good. It's basically, if you've never seen it, the first one is basically what if Adam West Batman was slowly becoming the Christian Bale Batman? And it's really good.
Fun fact, though, Harvey Dent's full name is Harvey Apollo Dent.
Wow, what a weird coincidence. 6 degrees. But yes, when her name popped up at the end, I was like, I know that name. Why do I know that name? This is the first time that this has happened to me. Why do I know that name?
Well, and you were talking about the wardrobe earlier. The actors playing the Capellan warriors were given elevated shoes to make them appear like giants. Mob's high headgear served the same purpose. This was also addressed in the mission briefing on the Enterprise by Dr. McCoy, who said it's not unusual that the locals be 7 feet tall.
That is what he said, yeah.
Kirk, Spock, and McCoy escape with Eileen into the surrounding hills. And Justin, now is the time where we tell our faithful viewers that if they have not already experienced the wonderful, exhilarating catalog that is Paramount Plus, that they
It's pretty
really
exhilarating.
need to.
They do. You should. Why are you not? Especially
I
not
mean,
using our link in the description.
Listen, you're watching this show, which means you're at least curious about Star Trek.
It's true.
And there's no better place to watch Star Trek than Paramount Plus because it's all there in high definition. And a little birdie told me, actually, an email told me, that students get 50% off their Paramount Plus subscription, which is
Oh, snap.
already one of the more affordable streaming services out there.
It's true.
With an incredible catalog of obviously not just Star Trek, but your Star Trek adjacent favorites like Galaxy Quest, which will always be loved by this show. You have probably seen us use clips at various points.
It's true. It's true.
But also
We
a
have.
great catalog of other shows. I believe Landman Season 2 has premiered recently, so let's just go ahead and give them a sneak peek of that.
Every dime you ever made, I pumped it out of the ground, and that don't change.
But he's dead, Tommy. And now what? I was supposed to let his trophy wife go and try to pull permits from the Railroad Commission?
I run the company. She owns it. But if you want to fight about it, lawyer up, big boy, let's go. Why don't you let me sell this thing?
I want success. Get it for me.
In this business, you have to know the rules of the game before you can bend them. And if you don't, you lose all of it. Hey, where are you?
At Drill Well 7. Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money. So for once in your life, just please listen to me.
How you managed to say the only thing that could possibly save you.
It's a gift.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna blow!
I've been calling you for hours.
And then I lost you too.
Hey! I'm coming!
What is it about me that makes you just scowl?
I just pray that you don't find something that makes the life you've lived a lie.
You take a long, hard look at me. I wasted 60 years on hope. We've avoided telling each other the truth for a long time. Let's not start now.
There are so many things about our lives that need to be fixed.
So it'll be good.
If we never keep our word, what's our word worth?
They're worth nothing. Nobody's is. That's what the lawyers are for.
Who pissed in your Fruit Loops?
God, it's the first thing he did this morning. Now walk me through this.
Meanwhile, aboard the Enterprise, Uhura detects a distress call from a freighter, the SS Deirdre. With no response from the landing party and believing the call is legitimate, Scotty, now in command, reluctantly pulls the Enterprise out of orbit to render aid, stranding Kirk's team on the planet. That distress call sounds as real as that Nigerian prince who emailed me that one time.
Oh, you mean that Nigerian prince who wanted to sell me a bridge
In Brooklyn?
in Brooklyn?
That lying.
It's funny. I had a scammer say that they wanted to sell me a bridge once, and I said, "Oh, really? How are you going to deliver me my bridge?" And they said they were going to deliver it to me by truck.
Actually, it's kind of freaky how good scammers are getting. Like a lot of them are ridiculous, but I've had a few that I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, there's a couple of emails where I'm like, "Man, this sure looks legit."
Oh
Be
no,
nice
dude,
if
the calls are getting freaky. I got one once from a guy who said he was from the Department of Homeland Security's Texas, and it was a Texas number. It came up, and he had the right city, and he called and said, "Hey, we intercepted a package through customs coming from Mexico to, with your name as the recipient." And I'm like, "Well, you go ahead and confiscate it because I didn't order anything from Mexico, so it's clearly not mine." And then he starts asking me, he has me verify my address, and I do, and then he starts asking like, "Have you ever been affiliated with this other address?" And I'm like, "Why do you need to know that?" You
That's
know?
suspicious.
Yeah, and then finally, I'm just like, I'll tell you what, my friend." And the guy sounded like American. He didn't have an odd accent. He sounded very legitimate. He gave a badge number, which
Huh.
obviously I can't verify, but I did get his name because he gave it to me. And I was like, I tell you what I'm gonna do. Because like I'm kind of getting the vibe that this isn't legit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the Houston field office and I'm going to give them your information. And if they say you're legit, then I will talk with them and give them any information they want. And then he started being the whole like, "Well, you don't need to do that." I'm like, "Nah, I kind of think I do." So then I
Now I'm
did.
starting to feel like I
Yeah,
do.
I did call the Houston field office and they were like, "Yeah, that is absolutely not us." They said, "But that is one of our phone numbers." So that's very strange.
Huh. Suspicious.
Yeah, but I mean, it was wild. So like apparently now they can hijack phone numbers.
Weird.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't. I unless you leave me a voicemail or you text me and you tell me who you are, I don't respond to like I like on Christmas or Christmas Eve. I got a random text message that I'm like I'm not to get too many close calls. Not anymore.
Yep. This is fun fact. This is the only episode which Uhura and Sulu call Scotty by his nickname, Scotty. Otherwise, they address him as Mr. Scott.
Oh, interesting.
And
Um,
another fun fact, Deirdre is the name of James Doohan's second daughter.
Really? Huh. Interesting. That's a good name. Good
Yeah,
name.
it's one of those names where it's like it's exotic enough that it's like, oh, that's unique, but it's not super weird.
Yeah. It sounds like a name.
It's kind of like Diedrich.
Yes, it is. I love again, always loving a little bit of Kirk Fu. Got some solid Kirk Fu happening in this
Solid
episode.
Kirk Fu. It's not the best Kirk Fu we've seen, but it's
No, but
it's good enough.
pretty solid. Mob was giving me real Claudius vibes, or for the kids, Scar. In case they're not getting who Claudius is. Claudius is Scar.
Yes.
And then I two notes that I think lead into the commercial break, which is I don't think Kirk is going to be able to his way out of this one.
No, because she's not having it.
No, she's not having it.
She only wants McCoy's soft hands.
Right? Once Kirk touches her, and yeah, again, it cuts to the commercial break. Is Dukes of Hazzard narrator. Well, seems like Kirk has gotten himself into a bit of a pickle this time, folks.
On the planet, the landing party evades Capellan searchers and shelters in the hills. McCoy insists on helping Eileen, despite Capellan taboos forbidding physical contact with a Tyr's wife. Through blunt honesty and medical necessity, not to mention a slap to the face,
I was gonna
McCoy
say, is that
breaks.
what we're calling it? Blunt
Yeah,
honesty?
yeah, right. Blunt honesty, yeah, for real. McCoy breaks through Eileen's resistance and delivers the baby.
I have so much on this interaction between him and the girl. Okay. Number one. Bones is like you. I will provide you with medical care whether you like it or not. Which led me to ask, what year is this? 2020? Is this flirting in their culture?
Probably.
And this is for the kids. Never touch a pregnant woman's belly without consent. It feels
He's
like
a
as a doctor.
He's
Yeah,
a doctor.
Yeah, but still even as a doctor, you should always ask first.
Oh, I'm gonna very unintentionally get into another debate, and I'm just gonna touch the surface, but I will make this point. McCoy's patient is also the child, and his Hippocratic oath dictates that he take care of the child as well, despite the mother's protest for something that is wholly benign.
Fair enough, but I mean, would it not? Would her indignation? No, I know. I was gonna. Would not be a cultural thing? She says not to touch him, and he's violating her cultural wants. I'm just being an ass.
Well, and then here's the other affront that happens in and around this time when Kirk and Spock are making their very crude bows, but would probably still work. Kirk should really know you're not supposed to dry fire a bow.
I mean, yes, he should. I'll touch you however I feel like. That just felt like a red flag. I could not believe he hit her. That was I don't know. It just feels like you shouldn't slap a very pregnant woman across the face. It just feels like a thing you shouldn't do.
Well, to be fair, she hit him first.
I mean, it is the 1960s. And then I thought maybe Bones was going to do a weird 1960s kiss.
It did look like that. It looked like she wanted to after.
It just the whole interaction felt off. It just felt off.
Well, one might say he hit her with his best shot, and she said, "Fire away."
My favorite is when Spock walks by him as he pulls his hands away, and he gives him the wow. Spock is capable of some silent judgment. That is the most silentest of judgment I've ever seen.
Spock is very, very.
Sir, you are her doctor. Yeah.
And for those of you who may be asking yourselves, yes, we are at the Vasquez Rocks again. However, this time we must be in a different area because we see quite a bit more vegetation. Maybe in the spring.
I was gonna say it looked familiar. I when I was watching, I'm like, Jake's gonna be like from the location of Southern California again. So it looked
Right.
familiar.
Well, I mean, all of our alien worlds look suspiciously like Southern California.
I mean, this is true.
Though Eileen initially rejects the child according to her culture, the birth itself becomes a turning point. And I gotta say, I don't really agree with the synopsis on that, considering that she up and leaves.
Pretty well. I mean, apparently McCoy is pro-life.
Oh, of course. I'm just gonna go out on a limb. Leonard McCoy is absolutely pro-life. We've seen.
I
this.
mean, his medical advice of just love your child. You just have to choose to love your child. All right, okay. This feels like we could be doing more direct medical help than you standing. I'm not judging your medical expertise, McCoy. I'm not doing it.
Keep in mind, 1967, but also the best thing for her to do is get through the birth.
Also true.
So even if it's a temporary measure, still sound medical advice.
Also true. Also, McCoy said the thing.
Oh yeah, I'm a doctor.
I'm not a doctor, not a. Also, and this was the thing that's driving me crazy. So many little things this episode. But why does every single character seem to pronounce Klingon differently? Like at one point, one of the characters pronounced it Klingon, and I'm like,
and then another
surely
one said Klingon.
Klingon, surely just meta. Let's pull back into the meta. Surely, before they shot, they went, it's pronounced Klingon. Like I just don't understand why.
That's how you pronounce Klingon in Klingon. It's Klingon.
That makes sense. Now that you said that does make sense.
But this is coming from the guy who and moaned for 3 months about how every news station in the United States started pronouncing Kiev.
Yeah,
out
that's
of
weird.
nowhere, out of nowhere. Well, because it's Kiev in Ukrainian, but it's been Kiev in English for my entire life up to that point.
I'm not pronouncing it a different way. I refuse.
I'm just saying, like, everybody acted like I was the crazy one, and I'm like, no.
No, no. It was, I mean, I always thought it was Kiev. I'm just
Well,
saying.
because that's anyway, we're gonna forego the Kievan history lesson. But anyway, when Kirk and Spock used their communicators to blow up the cliff, my only thought was, pretty sure that's not how sound waves work.
Uh,
You could absolutely cause an avalanche, but the explosion was a bit much.
okay, explosion, no, but yeah, you could theoretically, I guess, cause a mudslide or a dirt slide.
Yeah, no, I thought that's what they were going for, and actually, it would have been a cheaper effect to do, just push some rocks off the cliff. That I
I'm just
totally
saying.
could believe.
Well, they did kinda because
Well, but they exploded.
you have all the fake rocks fall, all the rubber rocks falling on the people in his stem. We're gonna get there. Then my favorite bit after the baby is born, when I can't know, is it either McCoy or the girl say it's our child, and the Kirk has a look of, wait, what? Sorry, what did you just say?
That is a really funny exchange where she's like, our child, because McCoy's like, repeat after me. You know, it's, I want my child. She's like, I want our child. He's like, no, damn. She's like, fine, whatever, just roll with it.
Just roll with it. Just do it. Just do it.
McCoy became a reluctant stepfather in that moment.
I mean, my other favorite moment is when she rocks McCoy's world.
Right in the head.
Right in the head.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I disagree with the outline of her. Like, she eventually, you know, the birth itself becomes a turning point. I'm like, not really, because the first chance she gets, she brains McCoy with a rock and just takes off.
I mean, in her defense, everyone on this planet is a raging sexist, including the baby. Because, like, every guy she hands it to, the baby doesn't cry, and then he turns back to hand it to her, and it immediately starts crying. Just saying.
Including the baby.
Everyone is. The women and the babies are all sexist on this planet.
The Enterprise fails to locate the Deidre. That's because the ship never existed, Scotty. Something you should have known. And this has happened to you before, man. And you called it out then. How did you fall for it this time?
I will say, just their subplot, it just kind of felt included to keep them included. Like, it didn't really. It just kept coming back to them.
They needed a reason for the Enterprise to not be there, because otherwise the solution would have been beam us up.
My thing is, I love it when Scott gets to be captain, because he's I'm kind of discovering, I think I've said this before, but he's such an underserved and underrated character in the zeitgeist. He's kind of a badass, and he just does not like the how locked in he was, where he was like, you know what, they want to fuck around, let them find out. And I'm just like, oh my god, like, that's just his like stone cold, like, you know what, fuck him.
That is kind of the
so
tragedy. That is kind of the tragedy of a man who would make a brilliant commander but doesn't want to be.
Right, like, he gets reduced in the zeitgeist and the culture to I just can't take it, Captain. I don't have the power, or beam me up, Scotty. Like, he gets reduced to Ace Ventura, you know, Jim Carrey, like, I just can't do it, Captain. It don't have the power. Like, he gets reduced to that. And it's a shame, because he's such a better character than that.
Immensely. And to be fair, I mean, William Shatner also gets reduced to.
I mean, true. But if I were a man who would want to go back in time, I would totally make a spin-off, and I have ultimate power. I'd go back in time and I'd make a spin-off where Scotty's captain.
He would have made such a great captain.
He would have made such a great, and then, but to be fair, this is like my 2020s like interconnected universe sensibility, where I'm like, yeah, we do a spinoff, and then Kirk and Spock can occasionally show up on the Scotty show. And they can occasionally do crossovers and synergy, Jake, synergy.
Kind of like what they did with Star Trek Discovery.
That's what I'm saying. It's synergy.
But speaking of Scotty, though, I actually, Spock even notes that, you know, when Kirk is saying, like, Scotty hasn't reported it in, and Spock's even like, and he's normally very efficient in such matters. And I'm like, see, even they know he's a great captain. That's why he's number 3.
Right? True, that is. I mean, yeah, when you think about it, I mean, he's the maintenance guy, and he's the third guy down the chain. It's all not to disrespect Scotty, but I'm just saying.
There's a reason he's number 3.
not to reduce him down to, but
But here's the thing. Scotty's number 3 because he doesn't want to be number 2.
absolutely, absolutely.
Because
I
if
don't
he
think
wanted to
Spock
be
even really wants to be number 2.
not particularly, but honestly, that's kind of
That's what makes him a great number 2, though.
well, but William Riker's a great number 2 as well, but he does want to be a captain, but he understands that he's learning from one of the best.
Not the best. Hey, I will save my judgment for when I get there. I don't know Picard enough. Just culturally gleaming, I like Kirk better, but in due time.
There's a lot of people who say Next Generation over the original series, but but Kirk over Picard. No, they get that. I'm sorry. They say original series over Next Gen, but Picard over Kirk, and I'm like, I'm the opposite. Well, no, I'm not the opposite because I never. Which to be fair, we'll get there, but I haven't seen the Next Generation in its entirety, so I can't
Oh,
pick that.
really? Oh, how interesting.
No, I was too into Deep Space Nine, man.
I mean, also fair. I hear that show's also good.
I'm so stoked to get to Deep Space Nine. I will not say a bad thing about any of the episodes.
You're not the only one. My dad also loved Deep Space Nine. My dad loves all of it.
Chekhov eventually realizes the distress signal was a Klingon ruse designed specifically to lure the Enterprise away from Capella 4. Scotty orders the ship back at maximum speed, even as another suspicious distress call is received and deliberately ignored. This is another moment where I'm watching the show, I'm like, it took you guys way too long to realize this. This is
I mean,
obvious.
You're right. My thing is though, like you're right. It is definitely a function to get the Enterprise out of there because the Enterprise would solve so many problems. But like, it just there's so many moments where it kept cutting back to Scotty and them, and I'm like, this again. I don't like criticizing the writing, but it's just this subplot is doing nothing for
Well,
me.
and we got to remember though, it's not syndicate. This is a weekly television show, so the writers are churning out scripts. So, like in their defense, they don't always have the luxury of being like, "Hey, we got this problem. We really need to sit down and think about how to narratively do this." Especially in the 1960s, they could just be like, there's a ship with a distress call, and it's fake."
True, but is the night because I know that like modern television very much is like contractually James Doohan has to be in the episode. It's in his contract. He has to be in it, even if it's for so like there's a lot of Supernatural and Doctor Who do this a lot where it's like the main guy shows up in like the first 5 minutes, so you can contractually and legally say he was in the episode, and then he Supernatural was just like there's a character called Castiel. He was technically a main cast member, but he was only in every like third or fourth episode because he would only appear like for a minute at a time. So maybe in the 1960s, I don't know if that was the case where like
I'm willing to bet because there have been a number of episodes where it seems like this person is on screen because they have a mandate to be on screen for a certain amount of minutes of the runtime. So
because like this episode would maybe be better served, if we just focused more on what was happening on the planet, maybe.
Well, and I mean, because I mean, even you could say it's like, well, they took their communicators, fine, but like Scotty, if he was still in orbit, at some point would have sent down a team because they mentioned that in this, and I remember the dialogue now. They mentioned that they're like, since he hasn't checked in and they haven't sent a search party down, the Enterprise must be busy with something else. So at least they addressed that.
It's sort of like him. They're solving a mystery that there's nothing I can't stand. There's another show I watched that did a similar thing where it's solving a mystery that we already know the answer to. We obviously know there is a Klingon ship because we know there's a Klingon on the planet. So like, I understand that the characters don't know this, but watching it as an audience, but again, I don't like doing the nitpick on the writing because it's just not. It's too late for that. This show's too old to do that.
Krass reappears, now armed with a stolen Starfleet phaser, and attempts to assert dominance over both Capellans and humans. See, this is the whole not Klingon behavior I'm talking about. He's real weaselly. My note is actually this guy's not acting very much like a Klingon. He must be a diplomat.
Well, okay, there's a lot of like there's a point where he steals something and pockets it. And to be fair, I don't know. I know Klingon is loosely, but I'm doing this thing where I'm discovering a lot of my cultural knowledge of Klingons is like merging Klingons and Vulcan together. So like I didn't know that wasn't very Klingon, so I was like, hey, seems Klingon enough. He did do a lot of killing people unnecessarily at the end, so he could be the bad guy.
See, that is kind of Klingon.
Is
But
it? Oh, okay, fair enough.
there's a way in which you do it. What the Klingons become culturally, and again, it takes a while. They become a very proud warrior kind of race who they're
Yeah.
not really ones. Stabbing someone in the back or cheap shotting is considered very low.
But
Like,
that's what they seem to be. No, no, I guess maybe they weren't because this is still kind of more in line with that first appearance, I guess, isn't it?
yeah, but even then, like you got characters like Thor, right, who's very not like that, and which we haven't met Kang, or have we met Kang? I can't remember if we met Kang yet. Um, I don't
Yes,
think
I
we
think we
have.
did
Yeah, I think we did meet Kang.
because they
He's
talked about his name being related to Kang and Kodos from The Simpsons.
yes, you're right. So we did meet Kang, and he seems to be the most Klingon we've met yet.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I do remember them being Klingon-esque, but I do remember saying no. I think in their design they weren't. And to be fair, he isn't either. He isn't very Klingon looking. His face is not nearly brown enough. Um,
He might be naturally brown.
yeah, he might actually be. The thing that me and Jordan keep talking about on my other show is how much I love setup and payoff. So my favorite moment in this episode is where they say that these people don't lie and that's their most defining feature. And when she lied to them, I was like, that was solid. I respected that. I was like, that
But
is
the best part
solid
is
payoff.
they knew she was lying
Yeah,
because their
immediately
scout
knew she was
literally,
lying. Yeah.
yeah, the scout literally said there's two humans up there.
Yeah, but I just the attempt. I respected the attempt. My favorite bit is how she tries to lie for them, and then they're still just chilling up on that hill. And then I have a note, and I don't know if this joke is gonna work for you, but surely it's gonna work for somebody in the audience, which is I used to be a Klingon mineral negotiator, but then I took an arrow to the knee, and that joke is for anyone who's ever played Skyrim.
When violence erupts, Mob sacrifices himself to draw Crassus' fire, allowing a Capellan warrior to kill the Klingon. Moments later, Scotty arrives with a security team, ending the confrontation before further bloodshed.
As far back as I can remember, I have wanted to be an entrepreneur. Now, I am here to guide you through the intricate paths of building your business, embracing emerging technologies and navigating the startup world. I am Saul Tarazona, and this is Startup Corps, your go-to podcast for entrepreneurial insights and tech-driven success.
It was a real shame that all those red shirts were able to leave unscathed.
I was hoping he could take down at least one or two of them. No, I did think it was funny that like he phasers the guy because okay, that whole setup was so funny to me because Kirk just blatantly is like, yeah, I think I'm gonna murder that guy, just unprovoked and with for really no reason. Yeah, our guy really seemed like he died in self-defense, but I'm gonna actively choose to murder. And so Kirk doesn't have to do a murder. He phasers a guy so one of the other guys can just spear him in the chest and it doesn't count as murder. Like it was just one of those things where it's like that Klingon has to die, but one of our good guys can't do it. Like, it was so funny.
Right.
It
Well,
was
but the other
so
thing
funny.
too is Mob's weird bout face. It just
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
make any sense.
You're right. Yeah. I did think it was a little weird. He was like, you know what? You're good. I'm gonna sacrifice myself instead for some reason. All right.
Because
Because
you lied to my face. Therefore, you are honorable. Like it just
no,
doesn't.
I think I've asked this question before. You don't watch pitch meetings, do you? You've never watched pitch meetings?
I've seen him before.
Right. It just makes me think of there's a bit he has in that where why did they do this? Because or I'm gonna need you to get all the way off my back about this. Stop asking these questions, please. All right.
With Mob dead and the Klingon threat eliminated, Eileen becomes regent for her newborn son, now the new tier of Capella 4. Of the whole planet? This seems like a tribal thing.
She becomes technically. I understand why she became regent because
Right.
technically
But
speaking,
but of the whole planet?
yeah, wasn't the guy in charge of the whole planet?
I mean
I
that. I
guess.
mean for such a tribal. Again, I don't remember, but it seemed like I mean just anthropologically that that sort of society does not lend itself to a planet-wide system of government.
Now, to be fair, did they specifically say planet or world? Because, her world could just be a small little chunk of the
That's what I'm
planet.
saying. They might be negotiating for mineral rights in that area. But regardless, this is what the outline said. She formally grants the Federation the mining agreement. Back aboard the Enterprise, the child is revealed to be named Leonard James Akar, honoring both McCoy and the fallen Capellan leader, not to mention Captain Kirk,
Yeah, I had questions.
whose name is in there for some reason.
I had questions.
Spock dryly observes that Kirk and McCoy will be, quote,
I think you're both going to be insufferably pleased with yourselves for at least a month.
another very funny ending.
I mean, okay. First of all, once again, every time she says the word Klingon, she pronounces it a different way, and it was really getting irritating by the end.
Well, it's kind of like Kirk's. I still can't remember how he pronounced telekinesis.
Oh, yeah, telekinesis.
Telekinesis, yeah, I think it was.
Telekinesis or something like that. Okay, Leonard James Akar. I have a number of questions. Number one, does this character ever come back? Being that it bears the name of two of our main characters.
I have a note in a little bit. I'll just go ahead and read it. Eileen's baby, Leonard James Akar, would make numerous appearances decades later as a high-ranking Starfleet officer in many Star Trek novels from the original series, Star Trek Deep Space Nine relaunch novels, and the Star Trek Titan series. In the latter, he holds the rank of admiral.
Okay, so does the outline say when he comes back, is he considered McCoy's son?
It does not say, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably, like not literally, but
like almost spiritually.
like he's a namesake for sure.
Yeah, I mean he's named after him, right? You would think. Okay, so okay, I'm on Spock's side. It just again, it's named after Kirk McCoy, and she didn't name him after Spock. That feels rude. That feels rude. I'm just saying
they couldn't pronounce it.
Leonard James Spock Akar. I'm just saying.
Well,
they could have just been.
They could have been Leonard to James.
Right. I'm just saying. No, I always say again. Spock is Leonard James Spock Akar. I'm just saying people have three middle. I have two middle names. Why can't he have two middle names? What is wrong with having two middle names? I understand Spock's indignation, and yeah, this was weird. This ending was weird. It was a weird ending.
Well, the whole episode's kind of weird.
Kind of weird. Yeah, it's just so much of it is to summarize. It's very much a 1960. Oh, I think I had a note of this earlier that I think I might have missed. But oh yeah, I figured she'd learn to love being a mother I figured she'd learn to love it is a very male 1960s attitude towards motherhood. And I think that just kind of summons up my thoughts about the attitudes towards motherhood in this episode. You're right. It definitely has that vibe of guys winning and.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Dr. McCoy may be pro-choice, but DC Fontana is not because in her original script, Eileen sacrificed her child for her own life, but Gene Roddenberry objected to this and changed the ending. Eileen was originally written to be a strong character who rebels against the male-dominated Capellan society, but this was also changed.
Huh. So sorry, you mean she would have been pro-choice, McCoy would be pro-life.
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense. That's interesting. That's interesting. Man, DC Fontana seems to be ahead of her time because that is for the 1960s a pro-choice storyline. I get why they changed it because for the 1960s
that would have caused a lot of problems with the network.
Absolutely, it would have been that.
I'm going to go out on and in Gene Roddenberry's defense, I'm going to go out on knowing what I know about Gene Roddenberry. I'm probably going to go on a limb and say he changed it because he knew the network was going to change it anyway, and it was just saving paper.
Perhaps, but also, I mean, the show has demonstrated that it has the tendency to skew a bit conservative. So maybe this is just one of those times. Yes, I'm not, and I now having gone through it. Knowing what the original intent was, I agree with you. I don't think it would have been better as a pro-choice story. I mean, I do think
it would have been not.
I don't think it would have been worse. I don't think it would have been worse, but I don't think it would have been better.
No, it certainly wouldn't have been better, and I think it would have. I just don't think Star Trek is the show, particularly the original series. I just don't think Star Trek is the show to explore those. There are other shows that can explore that much better. But
Yeah, I
this
just
show had a Klingon in it, man.
yeah, look, she's not the one I have an issue with. My thing is like that her desires seem to get overridden by the male because she's like, I don't want it, and then just out of the blue, she's like, not just kidding though. Like that felt clunky.
I mean, to be fair, that does happen. It's not
True.
universal. It's not universal, but it is a thing that has happened and will happen again.
But hers was not the character that I went, this feels off and strange. It was McCoy. Especially once you're like, wait, so he's been there before, he knows he knows their culture, and yeah, his interactions with her felt off.
See, I think it's very McCoy because McCoy has been and always will be like the doctor in him.
Maybe if Kirk was in there providing a counterpoint, or even Spock of being like, but again, 1960s, this was never going to happen. So
Well,
I
no,
say
but
this with that.
we had another episode where Spock and McCoy vehemently disagreed. The Apple, it wasn't that long ago.
True.
They had a similar, I mean, granted, this wasn't, but it was about culture and McCoy's very consistent in this.
Were I to offer notes, I would say I would have made her character not so strictly one way or the other, and then have it be a situation of McCoy's trying to be like, you should be on mom, and have like Spock or Kirk be like, because there is no in story reason for why she names the kid after Kirk, when Spock
Yeah.
was there. So like maybe make it where Kirk is the one who's like, hey man, you could have a choice. But again, I don't think Kirk would ever do this, but this is just me.
Not
But
in this context. Kirk absolutely would do that, but not in this context. I don't think Kirk
yeah.
would be the one to like try to argue a pro-choice argument.
Well, and then maybe not a strict pro-choice argument, but a like a
Be
hey,
like, I could see him being like, you have a choice in the type of life you want to live and whether or not you want to live or die.
yeah, exactly.
That's something I can definitely, and he basically does that just physically. Like he doesn't talk to her
Yeah,
about it, but he is essentially just that's
because
what he's doing.
I would have maybe had for me a moment where she make it less of a switch of her being like, and now I want like maybe make the question of her being in charge of things she doesn't want to do, make it where she wants to leave the planet or something that causes her to make a choice to go back, and then tie the kid into that choice thematically. Because otherwise,
well,
it just kind of seems like a light switch.
Yeah, when Paramount finally starts paying us and we can rewrite this episode, I think we could, which again, we have the benefit of being in 2020, whatever,
This is
and
also true.
that's a much easier topic to broach than in 1967.
Absolutely. I mean, this is me, yeah, forgetting that it's 1967, and 1967 is very conservative decade, and they very much were like, I think Catholicism was well, at least in my part of the world, Catholicism was like really popular in the 1960s, and they were very much like, you keep the kid.
Oh, and I mean, Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner are both Jewish, so
Also true. Yeah, also true. Yeah, yeah,
you still
yeah.
keep the kid.
You keep the kid. So yeah, so it was never gonna, the fact that it began its life as a pro-choice thing is shocking in and of itself.
I mean,
like,
that's I just feel like this episode wouldn't have, not that it's a fantastic episode, but it's not a bad episode. I just feel like it would
no.
have made a lot of viewers uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's again, I really do think DC Fontana is a writer that was like, as much as Star Trek is, it's so interesting that like she has the most forward thinking ideas,
It does seem to be that way.
which I respect. I'm curious as to if she wrote anything like movies or television wise that wasn't Star Trek. I'd be interested to know what
Well,
her
I'll
she
tell you what we will do. I will make a note and we will answer that question in the next episode.
Because yeah, I'd love to know if all of her writing was this kind of forward thinking. Because yeah, I'm surprised we're having a pro choice discussion on a Star Trek episode.
You
And
never
that is
know.
respectable.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen on the Final Frontier podcast.
You never know. That's what makes the show interesting to me.
But speaking of not knowing, which by the way, our red shirt death toll has risen to 16. But speaking of not knowing things, Justin, would you like to take a stab at what we will see in our next episode, The Deadly Years?
the deadly years. Oh man, I mean, clearly, Kirk, Kirk and company, they get trapped on a planet for a decent amount of time, and we talked about how it was the best of years, but it's also the deadliest of years.
No, but you're gonna love it.
Okay.
You're gonna love
Okay.
this.
All right. All right. I
You
mean,
are
you're usually
absolutely
right.
gonna love this episode. Well, just you'll love it. But join us next week as we watch the Deadly Years and go through it, and we're gonna have a lot of fun on that one. Just just letting you know. Just letting you know up front.
I'm excited. I'm sure there's a clip from the next episode that you are all going to see where I talk about how how excited I was to watch that episode.
I'm sure you will. We're gonna have a lot of fun. But until then, subscribe to Paramount Plus in the link in the description. Like, share, and subscribe. Help us get that watch time up because all of our episodes are funny. And as usual,
Sure.
watch long and prosper.